Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser. It's Friday, TGIFF, as we say in the morning show. Kermit is in effect as always, and he's like invisible as always, too. And with us this morning is Anan. What's going on, man?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And it's I got a lot to say today, so let's
You do
get
have a
the
lot to
show
say.
on the
That's
road,
scary.
man.
That's scary for all involved, I think, when you have a lot to say. So, Alan is with us this morning. Good morning, Alan. Yeah, lots to talk about. The funny thing is, when we were looking at the headlines earlier, it looked like we were just like reporting straight out of the Saudi League at this point. So we might end up changing the show's name in a couple of years down the road. So we'll see how that goes. Let's get this one out of the way. I'm honestly, Redditorial is starting. This is my first one, the Redditorial, because this hurt me the most, I think, out of all of us involved, the whole Jordan Henderson ordeal. But probably been talked to death. So Henderson faces backlash from the LGBTQ groups. I mean, you would think, you would hope, for Jordan's sake, that it was part of his equation when he was thinking about this, that it wasn't only a matter of money versus playing time, which I'm still not buying, versus everything else. You would think he had to bear this in mind. It affects not only his legacy and stuff like that, which is kind of shot at this point, at least for me, but in terms of like what he's going to have to deal with throughout, because these are going to be asked to him. Maybe not there as much, because they probably won't be like, hey, we're not taking any questions on this kind of thing, and you can dictate questions over there, but not over like in England. So where are you at with this?
Okay. So in no way am I looking for controversy here, or am I looking for anything that may offend anybody, but if anybody had that kind of offer, whoever it is that's talking would take the offer. We're talking 350,000 a week, 400, 500, whatever that number is. He's on 140,000 pounds a week. He's going to at least double it. No taxes, free money in a very easy league where there's no pressure, no media. I mean, Al Ittifaq is not even a good team, just so you know. They're a very
Okay,
average
but
Saudi
time
team.
out, time out. So this is when it comes to the money thing. This is the conversation we keep having, and I think any one of us, if they came around the corner and said, hey, I'm paying three times what you're making right now, we would run. But
Right.
when we're talking about these players, shouldn't the bar be slightly different? Because they're not working at fast food joints. They're not working at like a line.
Right,
They're
right. But
already making 140,000 is pretty decent money.
we got to look at it
Yes,
this way,
they're
though.
making more.
If you're making 140,000, you're living 140,000 lifestyle,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
So
The
so
hermit
it's
crab
not
thing
like
happens. Yeah.
he's living like me and you, very simple people that live and have jobs. He's living 140,000 lifestyle. So when you double that, wow, he just made money. He just made generational wealth. So
Do not go there, brother. Do
so
not do it. Don't start this
everybody. So
generational crap
everybody's
with me.
just coming at Henderson, and nobody talked about Ronaldo. Nobody talked about
Oh, yeah.
Igalo. Nobody talked about all these players that are gone. But everybody's putting that focus on Henderson because he spoke and he supported a group of people, and now he's getting backlash because he initially supported him. Now here's the deal. Him going to Saudi doesn't mean he say, screw everybody, I hope you all die, give me the money. No, it's business. This is business. I remember when the Qatar World Cup was happening and everybody was so angry, and 2 weeks later, everybody was like, woohoo, what a lovely World Cup. People are going to move on. Let the guy move on. Let him go. I saw Melissa Reddy this morning just going ham on Henderson, how he is evil and destroying his legacy and all that stuff. Jesus, come on. Let the guy make his money. Let it go. Get it done. Move on. The Saudi League is now what's trending. That's what's popping. That's who's paying money. Let the guy make his money. Move on. Stop coming at him as a person. Stop coming at him as a human being. Stop coming at him, making him seem like such a criminal. Because when Ronaldo went, everybody's like, wow, what a brave move. Ronaldo's off to Saudi. And then as these players are moving, wow, amazing, smart, genius business. They're ruining the soccer world, but they're making money. But then Henderson goes and he's like the biggest criminal in the world. It's time to move on. Let the guy make his money. Close this chapter. We're ready to move on. As Liverpool supporters, we're ready to move on. Clearly, the club is ready to move on.
Yeah.
People from outside, move on. Let the guy make his money and stop coming at him and his family as an evil murderer, killer because of this move. That's it for me. That's why I said I had a lot to say.
Chris is on your side, 100%. He says, but I am with Sparky over here. And this doesn't happen a lot, so let's make the most of it. I have no problem with them taking the money too, and I do agree. Most players will take money. I had no problem with Firmino taking the money. Bobby, I guess, a different scenario. The contract was up and stuff like that. I think it's just the fact that this is the part that hurts me more and kind of destroyed the legacy. I don't consider them like evil and like what an asshole now or anything like that. But I think I have lowered them from the pedestal, I guess. I have picked them up and put them with all the other players, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like where I'm at with that. When you're so outspoken on a topic and then, totally bail on the group you were sporting because now the other side is paying, that's the definition of selling.
I still don't think he's bailing. I still think he stands his ground and his support for whoever it is. Yes, going to that side of the world, going to Saudi, you can't support them over there. You can't be outspoken about this.
You can't do a press conference over there. You and I know.
Well, 100%.
A press conference over there and say this stuff, but that's selling out. You're basically
right. But holding back is very different than saying something like, "Oh, I don't support them anymore. I hope they're all burned in hell." So but that's what people are making it seem.
Someone it's almost like you're going into a fight, right? They're going into a fight. You're like, yeah, and then they turn around and you're like, you're gone. You're not there anymore to support.
Again, what if we see? Let me give you a hypothetical. Let's just do a hypothetical. What if Henderson gets paid his 300, 400, 500,000 a week? Out of that money, he sets an amount that he's donating to the LGBTQ community. Will still be mad? Will people still be mad?
I would be, because I would take that as damage control more than anything.
What if he still stands his ground on everything he believes in, but he has to get a job? And the job now opportunity
is a job. It's not like he's like unemployed.
But let's be real. Let's be real. He's been told that his job won't be as up there anymore. And he said, okay, remember we talked about this a few weeks ago? Bench roll, money in 90 minutes. Give me the money. So again, this has been elongated and it's taken so long. Henderson is gone. Let the guy make his money. Move on. Listen, I fully support everything that he stands for when he stood and supported everybody out there. And I still do. Just because he went to Saudi, I'm not like, yeah, well, screw them too. I'm gone. No, we still support anybody that needs our support. We're still out there being loud and making our voice heard. That doesn't mean Henderson is anti now or Henderson is evil. He's playing. Yes, I get it. He's on the other side of the field where they don't like anybody very much. But we will back him up and say, go make that money. Thank you for your service as a Liverpool captain. You've won literally everything a Liverpool player can win. And now you're at 33 years old. Go on, son. Cash out. Make that money, retire, and live a happy life.
Yeah, see, like I say, I just took him down from the pedestal. I'm not like anti-Hendo suddenly, but I viewed him as a lot higher than all the other players. As the captain, the way he carried himself, the things he said. And I feel like the things he said are very, very hollow now. So because of what he's done. And Cersei says, and I'm not buying this either, because there's like different standards here. Hendo plays in a country where Islamophobia is rife. Does that mean he hates Islam? Here's the difference. And there's a big difference there. No society is perfect. So it's not a matter of saying, oh, like, Saudi Arabia is like this, and, we're so much perfect in the States, because we're far, far from it. And I mean, everybody knows the social issues over here. We live in this freaking country. But it's not illegal to be Muslim here. And that's a huge bar to jump over, whereas it's illegal to be gay there. Okay, you get punished for being gay there. Right. It is not illegal to be Muslim over here. So there's like, while I agree, like a lot of things obviously are not perfect either. I don't think any society is perfect. Everybody has their own like little things, but the bar is different when you're comparing something being illegal to something maybe not being equal.
And the hypocrisy still stands. Sky Sports, Telegraph, The Independent, they're all getting funded by Saudi money. They're all getting funded by Emirati money. But then you get Hendo going like, oh my God, he's such a criminal. It is time to end the hypocrisy. It is time to move on from this subject. Let Henderson make his money. Again, thank you for your service, Captain Hendo. We move on. It's done. It is done.
Yeah, sad but true. Chris
Also,
mentions like
I'm
Gerard, which I'm more mad at Stevie at this than even Hendo. But I do feel like I don't know, like I have never put Gerard as a player. I put him on the pedestal. But I always felt Hendo was a better captain. As a as a captain. In terms of like maybe like Gerard led by being the player that he was and leading by example or almost like dragging people along. Whereas Hendo, I mean, he's a very good player. People kind of like underestimate what a good player he is. But his qualities, I think his qualities outside were so much better that it kind of diminished how good of a player he actually was because the other stuff was
so I won't say Hendo was ever better than Stevie, but I'll say this. Stevie led from the front. Hendo led with his voice on the same line. He always made his voice heard as a leader, as a captain, where Stevie is like, watch what I'm doing, do it. And I'm going to make sure we get shit done. That's the biggest difference. But with all love to Hendo, nobody will ever be as close as Stevie in that midfield as a captain in Liverpool in our generation. I'm sure that's a debate for previous generations, but in our generation, Stevie G is untouchable. I love you, Hendo. Go on, go make that money with Stevie in the same club. And somehow I hope they get Sammy Hupia and James Milner in there too. You know, screw it. Just load it up.
I mean, basically, like I say, it's a done deal. It kind of like affects it for me because he was so vocal. I think that's why when I compare it to Stevie, that's why I hold it kind of like differently because he was so vocal about these. When you do this kind of a move, it's looks more of a sellout than the other one, I guess.
And I do want to say at Stevie's time, these issues weren't always brought up and it wasn't a thing. So we don't know where Stevie would have stood on this. He would have been like, yeah, close, I suppose. But we don't know. But here's what we do know. In Hendo's time, it was an issue, and he stood up and he put his chest out and he said, I got you. And we have to always respect that because we're in a time where people are hated for so many reasons. And he was out there stopping the hate as much as he can and supporting anybody that needed that support. So thank you, Hendo. And I think we move on now. We move on.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. We move on. So everybody is going over there. Let's take a look at this one. This is kind of like more of like an interesting ordeal over here because it's a totally different story. We talk about Hendo and different scenario, Gerard and stuff like that. So we can look at this. This was, I mean, I thought this was like a natural fit. If you are Sadio, you think he regrets making that move or picked the wrong destination in terms of staying? I mean, obviously, we look at it now from far away. I mean, heck, he's going. I mean, really, where Hendo was going in terms of like the route, like taking the money he's gonna bank. But career-wise, I mean, I feel like some of these players, like Sadio, could have probably done this 2 years from now too. As long as the Saudi money is there, he would get the same money. It would be the same attraction. He would be in the same demand. Hendo, I don't think would. If it wasn't for Stevie, and Hendo is basically getting money for being a player and an assistant manager at the same time. Whereas, most of the other guys are going there as players. But do you think Sadio says, man, I fucked up on this one?
Yeah. And when we talk about hypocrisy, I'm not going there, but Sadio was always the one that says, oh, I don't care about the money. I live simple. I live basic. Now he's about to cash out. But put that aside. I think that's one of those mistakes where we say the Anfield curse hit. Sadio left at the top of his game and we were like, no, please don't go. He left for a very low price and we were all sad, disappointed that he's gone. One season at Bayern, absolute garbage, whether it was the injuries, whether it's the managerial change, whether it's Tuchel just having him on the bench in the most important games of the season. It just didn't work out. And Tuchel made it clear earlier, before preseason, he's got a list of players that got to go, and Sadio was one of them. And he initially said, I'm not going to Saudi. I'm staying in Europe. And 2 weeks later, he is off to Saudi to play in the same team as Ronaldo. Big mistake for him to leave Liverpool. But the biggest mistake was go somewhere like Bayern, somewhere that relies on a very specific system, regardless of a manager. And that system just does not work for Sadio. And I feel like the Bundesliga was also a little too physical for Sadio. He was used to running in spaces in the Premier League. And if you watched him playing in the Bundesliga, that just doesn't exist. There is no space to
Well,
run in.
especially against Bayern, because
Yeah,
everybody parks
well,
the
but
bus.
right, but the thing is, if you look, for example, if you look at Haaland's goals, he's a fox in the box. The most successful players that are coming out of the Bundesliga are usually those number nines, those strikers, the fox in the box, because the play happens around them, then they get the ball and they score. Somebody like Sadio, that's just not going to work. And I'm just sad he left. I'm disappointed he left. And I'm even more disappointed at his move to Saudi, not because he's going to Saudi, but because this is one of the biggest falls from grace that I've seen. We were talking about him being a Ballon d'Or winner. We were talking about him being the best in the world just 18 months ago. Fast forward.
How old is? I mean, he's what, 31 or something like that?
I'd say he's in his 30s. Yeah.
I mean, because we don't say this about Benzema, who has had a better, I mean, World Cup winner, you know what I mean? Like all those things. So we don't say it about Benzema, which was Benzema World Cup winner, or is he the one is that the tournament where he got canned out of the tournament?
He got canned out of the tournament.
He got canned out of that one,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, he won the Ballon d'Or obviously last year. But again, Benzema's 35 years old.
Yeah, I guess
he's
there's a 4-year
accomplished
difference, yeah.
5 Champions League in Real Madrid, like 4, 5, 6 leagues, whatever it is. And he's reached that level where I've literally won everything except the World Cup because he got axed. But I've literally won everything. What am I here for? This Real Madrid team is starting to look younger and younger and younger. There is no place for me here. It's okay for me to move on, make that money. But for Sadio, I just feel like at 31, when he was just at one of his best seasons, you know, his last season with Liverpool, his best season in the last 2 seasons, it's just too early to move to what I still call a cash out retirement league, with no disrespect. But I feel like that's too soon. That's way too soon. But hey, make the money. And for people like Sadio, for people like Kante, those devout religious Muslim guys, I understand them not minding being in Saudi, because to them, that's closer to Mecca. Our family can now come here. We can build mosques and do all that. I get it for them. But at the same time, you're 31. You could have made this move in 2 years. You could have made this move next year.
And that's the thing. Do you think the fear is, man, we don't know how long this money is going to be there thanks to China?
Yes. I forgot from Inter. Was it Brozovic that signed for what was he, like 26 or 20? Like a younger, you know, he's younger. He's not older. I don't remember his age, but that move was so shocking. We're talking about Adama Traore might head over there. So many names of younger guys that are now heading there, because they're like, dude, screw this. I don't know how long this is going to stay. Let me cash out at least 1 year, you know, make 30 million by the end of the year, making 500, 600,000 a week. Let's just cash out. And I'm sure we can come back, and I'm sure we'll go to Europe next year, the year after. So it's okay. We're young, but for the likes of Sadio, for Ronaldo, for Benz, for Kante, that's it. This is the end of the road. Let me cash out, retire. I had 2 choices, MLS or Saudi. I'm going to Saudi.
Yeah, like I said, I was not, when I saw this news, I was never like, what, money? You know, it was just kind of like same thing with, like you said, like with content. So some of these guys, you were like, yeah, I can see that. It kind of makes sense. And, you know, not to restart this all over again. That's why it was like, you know, news like Hendo, a news like Neves and Jota, like Matush brings up in the comments, I think is a bit more different, because you were like, what? That's too early, bro. But I think in those guys' cases, like you say, like for a Neves, for example, it's more about cash in while you can. And yeah, by the way, like Neves saying, like he has to take care of his family of 4 people by going there. But I feel like, yeah, that's more of a worry that this might not be there in 2 years. Right. So let's get the money and then let's come back. You know, we can always come back, kind of thing. Do you think you can always come back? Let me ask you that. When you go to a lower league and play at a lower level for, let's say, 2 years, right? Do you think you can then be like, you know what, you guys don't have money anymore? Okay, well, I'm just going to go back to Fulham now or something like that. Do you think you can kind of flip the switch back on, because now you're in your late 20s?
No, absolutely not. I think it's a one-way road. They can, and some of them will come back to Europe, but they won't come back at the top. They won't come back to the bigger teams, the Liverpools, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas. No, they're going to go to the smaller teams, you know, the Manchester Uniteds, the Evertons, haha. You know, they're going to go to the smaller teams that are just desperate to sign players, but also want players at a decent price that carry big names. I don't see Neves playing 3 years in Saudi and then going to the top level again. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, the markets will be there, you would think.
The market will be there.
Like, everybody will take a chance at Neves, like whether it's Barcelona or whatever. Probably not at the price. He won't care as much at the price anymore because he's already made the money.
Right.
But yeah, performance-wise, you just don't know if it's going to be the same guy back.
What really blows my mind, this coming up summer, we've got the Euros, right? Players like Neves, players like Brozovic, players like Kante, players that are in those top European teams, the Portugals, the Frances, the Englands, going to Saudi. How are they going to make the Euro squad? How are they going to... I mean, I don't think Henderson's going to be in the next Euro, but like for somebody like Ruben Neves, how is he going to make that Portugal squad when he's playing in Saudi? I highly doubt their manager is going to go watch his games in Saudi, go watch freaking Al Hilal against Al Ittifaq. Like, why are you doing this here? Maybe I'm just a little internally angry at what's going on in the world of football because it really did lose its value. It really did lose its
20 minutes ago,
respect.
You were telling everybody to go get the money.
No, they're going to go get the money. I'm just disappointed that we're going to lose so many big names in the next Euros. Listen, for somebody like Henderson at 33, go get the money. But for somebody young, why are you doing this? If you're coming at the end of your career, please go cash the hell out. But the younger guys, it just makes no sense. And what the other thing that's bothering me is they're attacking these Premier League teams and just taking all the players. Freaking go to Spain, go to Germany, like leave us alone. But yeah, it's just weird. It's going to be a very, very weird season.
But is it kind of like what goes around comes around in terms of the Premier League? Being able to go to any other league and I'm going to take your best guy and there's no way in hell you're going to be able to keep him. What goes around comes around, except, I mean, financial wise, for one, Premier League clubs were able to do it compared to, I mean, there are certain teams, right? Like Bayern gets whatever they want in Germany and obviously Real and Barcelona and Spain and stuff. But let's face it, like Premier League clubs can roll into Italy if they really wanted to. They're like, how much? Here. You know, because we got the TV rights, blah, blah, blah. Whereas the Saudis can do it with wages and stuff more than being the top league. Right. It's kind of like what goes around comes around. But I think I'm torn in terms of like where Premier League clubs are, because at the same time, it's a good way for them to dump old players and get some money. Mm-hmm. Like Fulham is not getting that much money for Mitrovic if it wasn't for the Saudi league.
Right. We wouldn't have sold Henderson if it wasn't for the Saudi league. I mean, we can go there. There's a lot of the moves that were like, okay, makes sense. Again, like I said, go make that money. And then there's some moves that are like, yeah. But at the end of the day, that's the state of football these days. Money runs everything. Loyalty's gone. Respect to the game is gone. It's just money. And we move on. That's the state.
This question. And honestly, I am thinking, I know they've gone to lower leagues. What was the name of the dude that came back to United and came in the 80th minute a couple of times?
Igalo,
yeah.
He's in Saudi now.
Shocker. Yeah, I can't think of a lot of players that went to China and then came back. I'm sure.
Yeah, there's Oscar didn't really make it back. Hulk ended up in
here and there.
Ended up in Russia. Axel Witsel, actually, somebody just wrote Axel Witsel. Axel Witsel came back. He's finished at the top. Hulk ended up in Zenit St. Petersburg. Yeah, that's really it. I remember Alex Teixeira. Liverpool were going crazy to sign him, and then he ended up in China, and then he ended up becoming a nobody. So nobody comes back from that. And that's where I'm going to leave it at. You go there. There's no coming back.
But he made his money. But is he happy, Anna?
He made his money, right?
But is he happy? And that's what it comes down to.
So that reminds me of that one joke.
Time the money becomes back to microeconomics, man. Diminishing returns.
Yeah.
And when you have established career and you can do more, and Teixeira is a good example of a player. Hulk, I thought it was a one-trick pony. Personally, I don't think he would have been able to play at a top-level league for like a long time. But
Malcolm, the one that was at Barcelona, didn't he end up going to China?
Did he? Because he's back now, right?
Yeah, and now Liverpool are. A rumor said that Liverpool are looking at Malcolm. Don't ask, but that's. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the next headline and let's bring this guy in. Late as always,
Oh,
Ozzy. We can't get up, huh?
he's
Hey,
not
thank
late. He's
Yeah.
not late. He's early for next week. Come on,
Thank
let
you.
it go.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that, brother. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the Open. I'm like, what a lovely Friday morning, sitting here watching the golf. And I'm like, oh, no. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
Oh
apologize.
yeah, is right.
Yeah,
Okay, let's get to the next one. You can jump.
Wait, Kazi, did you say you were watching golf?
I was watching the golf.
Isn't that owned by the Saudis too?
Yeah. Not that one. Not that one. I was watching
Not that one. Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. Give it about another month or two, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. We had the guys from Chicago, the Chicago Cottagers, on, and this was their worst fear in terms of like losing Marco Silva, because it was being talked. It was just a rumor at the time. Well, now the money comes out, and that's ridiculous money. That's generational wealth, as we would say, Anan, right? So
wealth.
I guess you would think. I think it was Alan yesterday commenting, saying, Pep will be next. Pep is probably already making this money behind the scenes in a secret account.
Pep has got
in the
Emirati
island.
money. He's okay.
But does this open another can of worms for? We were just talking about the Premier League. Do you guys think this opens another can of worms for now losing managers that way, or because of these guys' careers, it's a whole different ball game? But at the same time, to play the devil's advocate in the same question, Kazi, we just talked about how people can go there for a couple of years and bank.
Yeah.
If Marco Silva goes over there for a couple of years, even if he does shits inside of it, nobody's going to take that seriously, because everybody in the world is going to know that move is for money, not for football reasons. So 2 years down the road, any Premier League team or championship team would still go in for Silva, knowing what he has done here. So what he does over there, they won't even look at that part of the resume.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a free hit for managers a little bit. Like, you can go over there and cash out. Isn't it only a 2-year deal as well? Which is...
Yeah, 2 year, 35 million, baby.
It's a weird one for Marco Silva, because he's kind of rebuilt his reputation from the Everton job. And he was unfortunate with the Everton job, and I can, of course, I have more of a biased look at things, but he was a little bit unfortunate with how they're managed and how they actually buy players, and it's not a good fit right there right now for him. And he's went there and he's done an unreal job for Fulham. Let's get it right. Fulham were the big yo-yo team. They were just spending money but still going down. Same thing year after year. And he's managed to actually keep them in the league and get a good position. I remember when we drew with them on the opening day last year, everyone was going, what a horrific point. And you're like, we don't know if that's a bad point yet. We just don't know. And it actually turned out to be an okay point, because Fulham were actually quite good. But I think for Marco, at least, I think with the players, because of course, there's a sell-by date for the player's career. You're done at a certain age. But for the manager, 2 years out there for 35 million. And let's get it right, they're going to be signing Mahrez and players like that. That side, I think. I think they're the ones who are signing Mahrez. You're going out there to work with good players still. Do you go out there for 2 years, come back? Do you still get a job in Portugal, where he's from? Probably. Would you get linked with
I would think he would come straight into a team that, one of those teams that gets promoted and dumps their manager because they want to get a Premier League manager kind of thing.
Yeah.
He can even get one of those jobs, and he would be a guaranteed job at the championship.
He's a dead cert for Norwich, isn't he? He's a dead cert for Norwich, like in 2 years' time, and he's just like, here's my resume, I can get you promoted again, kind of deal. One of those guys. I think Daniel Farke is back in the championship now, because he's got that record, hasn't he? Where you can get me up. Cool. So it could be that kind of thing. It's a lot of money to turn down.
It is. Is Al Ahly one of those guys? One of the four, Anan?
Yep.
It is.
One of them. They're actually the main one.
I thought it was Al Hilal.
Al Hilal is the best team. Al Hilal is the best team in Saudi.
You know what's bad? None of us knew this shit.
Yeah. So I'll give you guys a quick. Whoa! Did you guys hear that?
What was that? Did you burp? Or?
Nobody here. Nobody has a little ring.
Yeah, I do.
It might be from you, Kazi. Try to mute yourself and unmute.
Maybe it's me.
It's the gaffer.
It's him.
It's the big dog.
That's fine. I'm taking a 35 million job from another podcast anyway.
So so let me tell you guys something. I'm gonna comment on the situation with Silva, but I'm gonna go a little bit talk about the Saudi league. As a kid, in Libya, our best soccer player ever, his name was Tariq Tayyip. Tarek Tayyip was a magician. We were talking about European teams were looking at him. He was one of those guys that just can do anything with the ball. He played his career in Libya, did really well. Under a dictatorship, he wasn't allowed to leave the country and play for any other clubs because the president's son was the captain of the team. And how dare you go to another team and not him? So literally the president's son ended up buying Fiorentina and paying them to play. He was so bad. They said, listen, here's your money, just leave. But we're not going to get into politics. So Al Tayyip didn't end up going to Europe, but Saudi said, here, we'll take you. They took him and then he signed for Al Hilal. And they went on a crazy streak where they were like the best team in Asia, best team in Saudi, and they were just amazing. Everybody in Libya became a Hilal fan. They became so good. They were winning the Asian Champions League, and then they started building their legacy. And then the money started coming in, and then they started signing Brazilian players, French players, but they've never seen this much money before. And right now, those 4 teams that are funded by the Saudi government are all competing to pretty much what team's going to outdo Al Hilal historically and be the best team ever. So Al Ahly is their rival, their head-to-head rival, and they're going at it. So to get to it, them signing Marco Silva, Bobby Firmino, Riyad Mahrez, Edward Mendy, all these guys is a big threat to Al Hilal. So do not be shocked if Al Hilal make a big move soon looking for a coach to outdo them because they've got an unlimited amount of money. Now, to look right now? Some random dude. For now, nobody knows him. Give it 2 weeks, he'll be famous. So here's the thing though. Marco Silva goes to Saudi, 2 years, wins fuck all or wins something and comes back. Nobody cares. He's still going to be able to get any job in the world that he wants because people will say, but remember 2 years ago when he was at Fulham, they're going to take his stunt at the Saudi League as a layoff, as a time off, as like a vacancy in his resume. Like, okay, you're back. Come on in. Fulham, Palace, Sunderland, Southampton, whoever it is will be able to sign him without a big deal. So for a manager, go get that money. But
for everybody, like the moral of the story today is actually they have Jorge Jesus, who was Fenerbahce's manager last.
There we go.
He had like a 1-year contract, and then he was a free agent. They just signed him. Which I mean, I know he was rumored to go to the Brazilian national team at one point. Too, and a couple of the Brazilian teams.
And here's the funny thing: all of the Turkish league managers always end up in Saudi. Don't know why. I don't know what the correlation behind it is, but they coached 2 years in Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Besiktas, and then they end up at Al Hilal, Al Ahly, Al Nassr. I don't know why, but it happens every single year. So yeah, and Chris said he wants to.
They're like, hey, these guys have even more money.
Wasn't Jorge Jesus the manager of the team that we beat in the Club World Cup final? Was he the manager then?
Could have been, because I know he was there at one point.
Yeah, he was the manager.
And then he was I don't know if he played him when he was there, but he was in Benfica for a long time. And he was kind of behind when they were like bringing up all these stars in Benfica. And that's why Fenerbahce did a 1-year deal with him. And I think they would have liked to keep him, but it just didn't work out. He only did a 1-year contract. He's the kind of guy that does a 1-year, 2-year contract and then takes off when he doesn't like it. Yeah. He's like an older dude, really fiery dude. I mean, he's a good manager. He really is a good manager.
Journeyman, isn't he? He's been around, hasn't he?
He kind of handled this whole Arda Güler thing very well. I mean, if Arda is Arda now, I mean, you could say he handled it really well. That's why Arda Güler became the player he was. Or you could say he kind of held him back a little bit. This kid was already ready when he was 17, 18. And he could have been like playing earlier, and he did not. So I guess you can look at it both ways. But let's get back to our boys. I don't know if you guys watched the preseason game. Is there anything to be taken from that, Kazi? Can you look at that game and say, aha, or you're like, okay, the boys are getting ready?
The boys are getting ready. The only thing I kind of took from the game is Jota, really, because I think people have kind of in their head of went, oh, it's going to be like Diaz, Nunes, or Gakpo and Salah, and Jota's kind of been like the forgotten man. He's the only one who can finish. He's literally, apart from Salah, he's the only one who can go one-on-one and you go, I'll put my life, if you had to literally put my life on any of our strikers to go one-on-one, 3-1 goal to score, it would be Jota. Like, and that's, if you look at Nunes' first goal, he passed. He's one-on-one. And he just passed the ball to Salah, this ricochet back, and then he scored. You're like, bro, just shoot. So the only thing I took out of that is Jota, really. And the one thing about Jota I took out of it was that his interview after the game, when he just looked at McAllister and went, these are great. I love these lads. I make a little run and these lads just pass to me. It's amazing. I said a Henderson chipping 30-yard ball to the back post with no one there. I could just make a little run and these guys are absolutely wonderful. So I know he's in a good mental space right now, which is awesome, but pre-season. It's it's always that big thing on which I quite like with a lot of fans, where they go, when Liverpool win in pre-season, we're going to do the quadruple. When Liverpool lose in pre-season, it's pre-season. Who cares? No one cares. But if we win, we're going to do the quadruple. So it's one of them.
I mean, I think the biggest overreaction was probably when Trent lined up in defensive midfielder, and it's basically lack of options for those getting ahead of themselves, you think? Or was it really, because you saw it kind of cost us in that spot at times too? So is it just a matter of we need a freaking defensive midfielder?
I don't think Kostas is meant to be there. I think Kostas is like, I'm going to play centre mid for him. I thought he might have been a centre mid.
He had no idea where he had to be. Out of all the players, I thought he had felt like a weird game.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think it's Klopp looking at possibly if we get a new right back, can Trent take this position? And then at halftime, he's like, hell no. But here's the thing. Preseason, and I'm a firm believer of preseason is just for fitness. Don't look at anything other than that. Because here's the thing. When we won the league in 1920, we had one of the worst preseasons ever. One of the worst preseasons ever. And everybody's like, oh, Klopp, we're going to suck this year. Then we went on to win the league with like a 20, 30 point difference. So I don't look at preseason as any indication of the season. Let the boys get ready, let them get their fitness, and let them move on. It was nice to see Jota get some goals, because remember last season, about 10 games in a row or 12, whatever it is, he went on without scoring a single goal, and everybody's like, okay, if Newcastle come in with 15 million, I'd sell him. I'm like, whoa, relax. He's one of our best finishers. But then, to the point that Kazi made, Nunez passed the ball at one-on-one. It's preseason. I think if this was a league game, he would have been ruthless. He would have gone straight for goal.
I almost feel like he would have passed the second time too.
I've been told though that he was too ruthless and like too eager to score. And now is he trying to compensate?
That's it. So you could see that he's changed his game so much without wanting to change his game so much, because multiple times he's heading at goal and then he makes a pass. Multiple times in that game, in that first half, he's going this way and then he's like, okay, screw it. Here we go. Here's a pass. And I think he's been told, dude, you run like a headless chicken. Relax, take a deep breath. The goals will come. And honestly, it's Darwin season. I am willing to put my name on the line. This is Darwin season. And I said it a few weeks ago. I'll say it now. Darwin scores more than Salah this year. Boom. Boom.
No.
We're like, here's my thing. Having watched that game, I guess this is one of the few things, and it's kind of really hard to tell, right? It's totally different 2-11, so you can't even tell who's at that position, because they're not playing next to the guy they would normally play with and stuff. But I watched that game, and this is like one of the things that I want to see going into the new season is, as we watch more preseasons, like what are we doing with Trent, and are we kind of, are we adjusting anything in midfield, which made it really tricky now because we lost two guys that would be, especially your defensive midfielder, when you lose that, like, I don't know if the plan changes or whatever as well. But one of the things was Nunez. I watched that game, and I watched that game the same way I watched the games last season, where I'm like, I just don't understand how this dude fits. I mean, am I the only one there, Kazi? He will get the numbers and stuff, but I still and then you watch that second half and you watch Gakpo. Yeah. And you're like, that's the dude that should be up there in the middle.
Different class. I mean, what he does give Liverpool is an option for Diaz, which is the interesting part off the left. I don't think he's a centre forward for Liverpool, Nunes. I think he's off the left player for me. I know Anand doesn't like the sound of that, but I just feel like I like more the Gakpo style. Who's going to link up, play and find a pass a bit more with runners running off and kind of thing. Darwin got 16 goals all comps last year. It's not a bad, it's not horrific at all. It's pretty good for your first season. So I just don't think he starts in Liverpool's best 11. I just don't think he starts. I'd have Diaz, Gakpo and Salah. I'm sorry, Anand. Didn't you just start him over, Anand? Go on. Over Diaz?
No.
Over Gakpo?
Start him over Gakpo?
Salah.
After watching Gakpo,
yes.
you start him over Gakpo.
Yes.
You can't say Gakpo over Nunes over Gakpo. Come on.
For me. Hey, for me. It's a free country. Hey. So here's the thing. Let me say this. So this is why Nunes gets more goals this year. We have two midfielders who can actually create play. Liverpool's going to go to more direct. He's going to be a target man more than he was on the left, more than he was dropping back. He's going to be a target man. You've got McAllister, you've got Szoboszlai, you've got Diaz, and you got Salah, all targeting our target man to get him the ball. I say Nunes gets more goals than Salah. I say he scores the most goals for us. The likes of Jota, the likes of Gakpo will come in, will have a role in the team. It's just Nunes explodes this season. That beautiful hair, that beautiful attitude, the running like a headless chicken. Everything about this guy is chaos, and I love chaos.
The only way he gets more goals than Salah.
Oh, look at Chris.
The only way he gets more goals than Salah is because he starts every game in the Europa League and Salah doesn't. That's the only way he gets more goals than Mo Salah. There's no way.
I want to say, Chris, we think alike. I just set that chaos part and ignore these two guys. Just ignore anything they say.
Okay, well, you only read the 2 sentences, so let me read the rest of it for you. He says he just needs to refine that. I know you stopped when you saw the capital letters say chaos, but when he plays, he causes chaos. Yes, he just needs to refine that, and that's the problem. Can he refine that? I mean, it's great to have a target man if you are playing in a system that needs a target man. We don't play like that. You watch that second half, and you see Gakpo there, and you're like, this is what – I mean, he's the piece in the middle because you're not benching Gakpo, and I don't think you're putting him on the left. So I still feel Gakpo starts over Nunez, and Nunez can come into a game to create the chaos when the other stuff is not working.
This is the part where you talk about the Diaz part on the left hand side with the rumors of Diaz and the Saudi bid and stuff like that. If Liverpool get the right money, do you do the Diaz deal for 100 million? Let's say, do you do the Diaz deal because you know you've got Darwin to play on the left? That's the argument, and then you can go and get that Georgian kid from Napoli. You can play both sides for the same kind of money. That's what I'm saying. It's just a difficult. Liverpool would have another decision to make if the Diaz bid was a certain amount because they know they've got a Jota and a Darwin to play on the left.
So yeah. Actually, I'm with you. Give me 80 million and Diaz is gone. I'm okay with that. But here's the thing. Diaz is one of the untouchables. He's not going anywhere for at least 2-3 years. And we don't need Darwin on the left because Darwin's our man in the center, and he's going to get the goals. And guys, let's record this. Darwin outscores Salah. You both regret it, and you both get me a Nunez jersey at the end of the season. Done deal.
Yeah,
done deal.
I'll get I don't know why you want 2 freaking jerseys, but okay.
I'll get that awful one from last year, that away one that we never won a game in. You can have that one instead. There you go.
You know what? As long as it says Nunez on it, I'll take it because I think he is ready to explode this season. It might be at my positive thinking. It might be my very, very like how many Nunez jerseys am I getting?
Am I getting a Gakpo jersey in return?
No, of course not.
One-sided deal over here.
This is a one-sided deal. You know what? I'll tell you this. If Darwin outscores Salah and Gakpo, you guys owe me a Nunez jersey.
Okay.
If he doesn't, you can still buy me a Nunez jersey. Boom. There we go.
Oh, the only thing I'd say is to you, and like, just to piss on your chips a little bit, Sadio Mane was the best left winger in the world when he was at Liverpool and didn't score more than Salah. Salah wouldn't let him.
Yes. I'm fully with that. But now that link up between Salah and Nunez is gonna be killer. Salah is now gonna take a lesser role of going on goal, and he's got Nunez. Guys, listen. Please record this or cut this or do something with it, because when this happens at the end of the season, you guys are gonna say that crazy guy is not so crazy after all. Boom.
Yeah, that Mo Salah's going to take a back seat to the goals there.
Not going to take a back seat, but he's going to be more comfortable giving that ball away. He's going to be more comfortable letting Nunes create. Guys, we're going to have set piece takers in Dominic that's going to put the ball on Nunes' beautiful head with that beautiful hair. He's just going to put it in goal. We're going to have direct play straight to him, and he's just going to score all those goals. All the chances he missed last season are going to be significantly less. He's going to score more goals, and he's going to be running for that golden boot in the Premier League, and everybody's going to be saying, wow, he is not crazy after all. Suarez had a shit first season for Liverpool, and then he took off. Nunes is gonna kill it.
I don't think Nunes had a shit season.
For the price we paid, it was absolute garbage.
I just don't think he fits the system. If you look at his numbers, if you look at his turn, and that's the thing. I think we were looking at the price tag and evaluating that. Or I think the fact that, Omar is talking about, you're talking about Nunes like he's Haaland.
That's my brother. Ignore him.
He came the same time as Haaland, so everything is being compared to Haaland.
Right.
Otherwise, he didn't have a shit season. My thing is, I just don't think he fits. I still
let me drop a bombshell that will get you guys to block
Another
me.
one? Hold on.
I take Nunes over Haaland. I'm out.
Yeah, Yeah, you should be out after that.
I'm kidding.
Go ahead, Kazi.
I mean, all I'm saying is, like, if for him to get more goals than Salah, he's going to have to get about 30 to 35. Because
in all competitions.
Yeah, because Salah plays every game. If he starts Salah in the Europa League, Salah will get 15 in the group stage.
I agree. Here's the thing. If Nunez cements that role, that starting role, which he will with that number 9, it's just all gonna fall in place. He scores a couple of goals more than Salah, I'd say, from the 26 to the 32.
Did you see the confidence level all sink as we're talking here?
He's
above. Now there's only a couple of goals.
Okay, from 40 goals.
He's not going to score. I'm not saying he's going to score 70, but I'm going to say he's going to hit at least 26 minimum. That's a minimum. Maximum 32, 34, 36. Guys, I know you're not discounting him or saying he's not good enough. I know you're not. I know you just have a different vision because of the way we've been playing, which is fully understandable. That's why I said a few minutes ago, it's going to be a bold prediction. It's crazy, but that's what we do. We get crazy. We just signed 2 brand new midfielders that are as creative as they come. We have the best right winger in the world. We have an amazing left winger in Diaz, in Jota, whoever plays. And here's the thing. You guys are forgetting the main magician, Thiago Alcantara.
Thiago, he's translating to Nunez on the bench.
You guys are forgetting the balls he's going to put in.
Gakpo's doing out there. This is what you should be doing.
I adore Thiago. I love Thiago. I am the Thiago's biggest fan, like yourself, right? But Marco Silva's probably going to go to Al Hilal, and the first phone call he's doing is for Thiago. It's the first call he makes. 45 million. Thank you.
I think he could be like, I think he's hot over here too.
Yeah, I think he's okay for the season. He's not go. I think he goes nowhere. I think it's too late for us to sell another midfielder.
I hope not, because I think it's great for Jones, Elliott, Szoboszlai, who's only 22 or 3 himself, and McAllister's kind of young, to learn off. There's no better midfield in the world to learn off. I played under Thiago kind of thing, especially Jones. Jones is, for the last 10, 12 games, is Liverpool's best player.
Yeah.
So, I think I want Thiago to stick around, and if Liverpool could even get into an extension for the next year, just one more year after it, then I'll be cool with that as well. So.
Yeah.
So let's talk. I mean, obviously, let's see. When is the next game? I mean, you would think, when do you guys look at the lineup out there and say, Anand was wrong? At what point do we look at the 11 and say, this is probably the 11 starting?
When Liverpool finish signing players. That's when. Because I have Conor Bradley's not starting the first game of the season. I understand. I was kind of like, I was excited to see Trent in the 6th kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But then I also understand that Conor Bradley was Bolton's player of the year last year. I think he was their player of the year, and he was amazing. So Liverpool might be trying to get him in the shop window for 15, 20 million. A bit like the Nico Williams kind of thing. I'll just put him out there and let's see, get him some minutes. So when Liverpool stop signing players, or the game before the first match.
He says the first match, which is
it's interesting actually, because I think the window doesn't close until the 3rd match this season. I think the window.
Oh, really?
This season. So it could be Liverpool are going to be in it till the end, probably.
So the Bayern game, you're not looking at that saying this is probably our last serious test.
I say that's going to be a game that has 2 teams, one for the first half, one for the second half.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the one thing you can probably guarantee is that I don't think Szoboszlai and McAllister start the first game of the season. I think he does Jones because you can trust Jones right now with one of them and the defensive midfield.
Yeah, that's fair. We were talking about that on Monday, and that was my initial thought, but then I think it was Gally in the comments brought up Jones, and I was like, yeah, I can see that. Especially now that they joined. I just didn't know when they were going to join the rest of the team. Now that they're with the team, I can see the familiarity thing and going that way. So basically, the only meaningful soccer to watch these days, you're saying, is the Women's World Cup. How close I'll be honest, I'm kind of out of the loop on this one. It just like crept. I mean, I kept seeing the commercials, but I didn't know when it was starting. I mean, it's soccer. I'll definitely watch it. One thing that's nice to watch, we're talking in the comments and Discord as well, that you don't have a lot of like Neymar like rolling around going on even after tough challenges. They just get up and freaking keep playing. Do you follow with Kazi?
A little bit. I'm not like, of course, 100% in. I know New Zealand won their first ever game, I think.
Yeah, the opener, yep.
Was pretty cool. And I know the US play tonight. And they're playing Vietnam, which is a mad game, by the way. What a drawing that is, the US versus Vietnam. But, I mean, and I know the US are the best team in the world comfortably, so that could be... I think the last tournament, they won like 10-0 or something like that, the first game of the season, the tournament.
Yeah, wasn't it also against Vietnam?
Was it against Vietnam as well? So
when I think it was like 7-0 or 6-0 when Alex Morgan did the Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. So Vietnam, and having Vietnam flashbacks.
May have been Thailand.
That the gap is a lot more between like the good teams and the lower teams, where the group stages they tend to have a lot less surprises than, let's say, the men's World Cup, because I think the gap feels like it's a lot bigger. But saying that, like I say, I don't know enough about the teams this year going into it. I'll definitely be watching a lot of it. I mean, obviously my girls play. I know it's like a different brand if you're not used to watching women's soccer. It is a slightly different game, but it has a lot of like pluses to it sometimes compared to men's game too. That's odd that it's not on. We have it here accessible. Obviously, like US is in it, but I mean UK is in it, and England is probably one of the favorites as well, right?
Yes, actually second favorite.
Yeah. So do you have a pick there, Anand?
Well, the obvious answer is the US, but I think I would go England. That team is stacked, just coming off of that Euro win. But here's the thing. If Sam Kerr comes back and she's healthy, I posted this in our Discord, Australia can go on to win because they defended really well in that first game. I like the way they played against Ireland. They defended well. Few mistakes here and there, but if Sam Kerr comes in and wakes that attack up, they have a big chance. But the obvious answer is the US and England. But
I think it's Megan Rapinoe's last tournament. I think she's
retiring
after this.
And Spain also did really well today against Costa Rica, 3-0 Germany in the Euro final. I mean, it's open. It's wide open. Even if you look at the odd lines, they're like the US aren't that heavy of a favorite as they usually are. I think there's only like a 1-point favorite. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. I'm excited. It gives us something to watch, something a little more competitive than preseason. And it's good to see that young talent out there because I do think the women's game doesn't get a lot of the credit it deserves, especially when it comes to those bigger tournaments. I still don't think, I know the Australian women's team came out and talked about the pay, like, oh, we should get paid like the men did for the World Cup. The men generated about $8 billion. But I do believe they deserve all the credit and they need all the attention that they can get from the media right now, because the only thing we can do to hurt them outside of discredit them is not give them the proper attention.
I think I couldn't agree more. I think what this tournament needs in the final, unfortunately, is the US-England. They need that final badly because it needs all the eyes of the world kind of watching US-England in a final. It needs it badly, so much. And I hope they get it. I really do. And then let the best team win kind of thing. But yeah, because you need the more eyes on it as possible. So you need the two biggest and best teams playing each other. So.
Yeah, Nelson says Spain looked amazing. Like I said, I normally do not watch. Probably like when it's on, it's soccer. I'm gonna watch it anyway, and I'm kind of like used to the women's soccer a lot, like from my girls and stuff like that. So I mean, we used to watch it like nonstop. So it's gonna be like watching it. But I know it gets a lot more interesting once the elimination rounds. I guess you can say the same thing about the men's, but I feel like it's a lot more difficult to get surprises. That's why I thought that New Zealand thing was over the top amazing, because it's a lot more difficult to get surprises, I think, in the Women's World Cup, in the group stages, in terms of going to the next round. I mean, single game, it's soccer, anything can happen, right? But in terms of like doing it enough to be able to go to the next round kind of thing. But it's definitely soccer is something to watch. I mean, better than predicting Nunez. How many goals would Nunez get in the Women's World Cup, you think? We outscored Mo. That's probably the only.
If both Nunez and Mo were in the Women's World Cup, I'd say Nunez outscores him.
I'm used to doing this podcast with Alex, of course, on a Friday, and he comes up with some wild shouts. That's up there. That's up there, you know. And Emily was telling me that Salah in the Discord around Ben Rama reminded him of Salah.
Oh no, God!
I was like, Salah doesn't even know who Ben Rama is. If you walk past him in the street, he wouldn't even know who he is.
It reminded me of Vincent Abubakar, where he's like, "Oh, I'm better than Salah." I'm like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, this third chair on the Friday morning shows has some hot Mo Salah takes. That's
the greatest winger in the Premier League. That's non-debatable. Salah is the greatest winger. Don't think me putting Nunez out there is discrediting Salah. As a Middle Eastern person, Salah is like up there for us.
And it's more your love for Nunez than discrediting.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Because when we signed Thiago, who's a guy I've been a fan of my whole life since his Barcelona, like with Bayern Barcelona, I'm like, oh my God, I love the way he touches the ball and everything. He came to Liverpool, and I went on to Twitter, and I was doing a podcast, I was doing a show, and my show was doing really well, and I was like, we just signed the greatest midfielder ever. and I think I lost like 400 people that day. And they're like, this guy is like crazy. I'm like, no, seriously, this is the greatest midfielder ever. And then I finished and I'm editing the video and I look at it, I'm like, holy shit, I'm an idiot. Why did I say that? But I get excited for players that I love, and I am willing to just fight the whole world for them.
So when Salah's on 22 at Christmas and Darwin's on 9, we'll come back to this and have a chat.
You know what? I will write that down. I will write that down. By Christmas, Nunez has at least 5 more goals than Salah. Write this down. Write this down.
I go back to what Kazi is saying. If he's going with the Europa League games, I just don't see Mo ever sitting. That's the problem. The dude doesn't like to sit. But this whole Thursday, Sunday games and stuff like that, he can. Nunez. I'm not saying Nunez is not going to get goals. I would love to make a way. This is why this offseason I really wanted to see him be more of that guy that can be the top guy and do everything that, you know, like Bobby and them did with his physical talents and finishing. But honestly, I see that in Gakpo. I see a bigger, faster Bobby in the works, and I'm more excited about that. And then Nunez can come in and create.
Okay, so I'm gonna break it to you guys because I don't want to be that guy where you guys get off this call and realize, you know, Salah's gonna be gone from January till the middle of February for the African Cup of Nations, right?
Yeah, means nothing.
That gives
even then.
Not even more. Yes. That's why he's going to get himself such a head start before Christmas and go, beat that kid, I'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Well, we got something to look forward to because apparently we're not looking forward to the game against Firth or Filth on Monday.
Monday? I like that.
I don't even know who that is. The R is silent, but I don't know. I don't know who the team is, to be honest.
Before we run off, I think we have to mention, I don't know if we got mentioned on previous podcast, the Bayern Munich preseason game, that they play these guys every other year and beat them 22-0 every other year.
Yeah, what is the point?
They played them 3 times in 6 years, and the lowest score was 18-0.
Yeah, like what is the other
team? Inviting them back.
Have you seen highlight? It was on Instagram. There was a reel of all the goals, and I swear the goalie did not look like a goalie. Like the way he was playing looked like they were playing their right back in goal. Like the goalie was like, fuck that, man. I'm not playing that game. I'm hurt. Like every goalie was hurt that day or something like, because the way he goes out to the balls and stuff, I'm like, that guy is not a goalie, dude.
I mean,
like, he was like coming out waving his hands.
Like, is it worth it to keep inviting him back to probably earn what, €10 a ticket from the fans in 2,000-seater stadium? And you're like, is it worth the mental anguish to get beat 27-0 every other year to bring them back? I don't know if it is.
Well, hey, you know, if the money is right, we've seen it. We talked about it all day. If the money is right, take the money, man. I'm sure Bayern is paying. He's like, how about we pay you guys to beat up on you guys? Kind of a thing is what I'm assuming is being done. I just don't know what Bayern gets out of that game.
A workout.
I mean, they could have just like jogged around the field. Having seen that goalie, it would be more tiring.
I reckon Joshua Kimmich did about 40 steps all game. It's just like stood there.
Is that why Tuchel wants to sell him? He's like, should have been 45 steps. Get out. You know, you never know. Oh, boy.
Well, that's it for us today. Should be a good weekend with like watching on that Monday. The boys are back. Monday morning, I'll be back with the Polish Prince. We'll do a pre-match for this huge. Actually, we'll be watching probably the second half. We'll keep an eye on it because it looks like the second half will be starting right about when we're on air. So we'll do a live watch along with the first match. Probably is what we'll be doing. That's a dangerous precedent to set. But you guys have like an awesome weekend. Thanks to everybody commenting, jumping in and stuff. Give us a like and a subscribe and all that good stuff. And we will be back Monday morning. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. Take care.
Darwin.